Coach Knowles, how are you?
I'm good, Robert. Don't worry about the time. I've got plenty of it, so it's not a problem. Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's not for me either. I mean, long walks with the wife and the dog have become every day. That's the exercise. Let the dog pull my arm and shoulder out of socket a little bit, and yeah, I mean that's one of the things I've kind of noticed. Time is it's not. I don't want to say it's not valuable, but it's you don't think of it as the same. You start thinking like, well, I've got plenty of time to do all this, and you don't feel rushed or panicked. Are you the same way?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really hard for guys like us to get and people who live the lives that we do typically, to get adjusted to this kind of schedule. And I think when you do, we're I'm typically either like a full speed guy, 100 miles an hour, or zero. So you tend to pull way back and think, oh, okay, I got plenty of time to do this or that, and you get out of that hard work grind mode that coaches are so used to.
At the same time, in talking to guys on your side of the ball, and I know you guys had a staff meeting yesterday, defensive staff on. I'm guessing you use Zoom.
Yeah, that's the platform.
Yeah.
Have I think it was Todd Bradford, our recruiting guy, who told me, coaches are just players with gray hair. So getting coaches to act corporate and do those kind of meetings, that's a little bit like herding cats, because we're kind of go get after it guys, So, but we did have a meeting, and we'll do that every now and then.
And in talking to the coaches, everybody's been on their Exos watching. I actually, last night, my wife goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm on my Exos. I'm watching Oregon State." And she goes, "Why are you doing that? You don't have to game plan for the opening game." I said, "No, but yeah, I like to study teams. I like to see what they're doing, and you know what? Here's the deal. I don't want to. I mean, nobody wants to be an alarmist at this point. I'm certainly not an alarmist. But that Oregon State team, they were a lot better at the end of the year than they were when they played us. And I know, I had forgotten they came out of the gate pretty good offensively. That quarterback for them last year was a lot better in the game than I kind of anticipated he might be going into it. But Oregon State's not a team to be taken lightly.
No, they did come out of the gate strong, against us, and I think it was hard for our players to gauge, first game, West Coast, an opponent you're not familiar with. Um, Kids are kids. It's our job to keep them on high alert, and I think Oregon State came out, at least offensively. You're right. I had a lot of respect for that quarterback, and their system and what they do, So yeah, they're definitely a threat, and a program that's really trying to make a statement.
Well, and it's obviously good the technology now. We talked about having meetings together on that platform, but the Exos, which we kind of take for granted, but really allows you to watch a lot. And you guys are kind of changing out this month for the month of maybe late May, June, and doing game planning. But you just got to make the best use of time, right?
Yeah, I mean, you do what you can when you can do it, but I mean, everything's so up in the air. Who knows? Nobody knows what's going to happen. I mean, what's going to happen with recruiting? I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's in terms of spring recruiting, is that going to go away? That's a huge question. And when are we going to get the players back? And we wanted to have Zoom meetings, position meetings with the players, but the Big 12 hasn't even allowed that yet. So I'm hoping that gets changed.
No, I do too. And I'm on a teleconference with Commissioner Bob Bowlesby this afternoon. So that's one of the questions that I'm going to ask is,
Good.
when are you going to kind of go over what coaches and teams can do, uh, with technology here in the interim. Um, Getting back to, we had 3 spring practices, which falls way short of what I know you want, what Coach Gundy wanted, and everybody on the staff. But I got to admit, I was at all 3, and I was impressed with what I saw. And I know a lot of guys were being held out. For instance, you'll love this. I was reading a deal this morning on the Athletic. One of their writers that writes for college football was asked, "What college football players would you pick on your dodgeball team?" And if you were going to have a professional, because there is professional dodgeball, and he, believe it or
Right.
not, he got this question, and he goes, and then I'm going to have Colby Harvell Peel from Oklahoma State. His ball skills are excellent. He's a physical guy. Now I've got to teach him not to break up passes, because in dodgeball, a broke up pass is just means you're out. But I feel like he'd be a good dodgeball player. So I thought that was interesting. See, that's the kind of stuff you research and end up finding out when you got time like we do right now. Colby Harville Peel is a dodgeball player, Coach.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll take Colby in any sport at any time. He just has tremendous awareness. Highly underrated last year for the things that he accomplished, which were really off the charts. And I know you promoted that, but hopefully he won't be under the radar this year in terms of getting the recognition he deserves. But yeah, I mean, he was out, and Amon was out, and
Yeah.
Evers is still out, and Trace Ford was going lightly. So we were missing a lot of key players for the first couple practices. So and I thought we had a good start. And hopefully this time will give all those guys who need to heal a chance to heal. And make the most of it.
And on the defensive line, because we've had both Joe Bob and Greg on this week, and the defensive line's night and day from where it was a year ago as far as experience, and we've even seen a lot of those guys really ramp up in the weight room, and they look different. Even a veteran guy, you and I have talked about, Cameron Murray, and he's a solid 303 pounds now, and linebackers you mentioned. You got a few guys hurt there, but certainly Malcolm and Devin and some of those other guys. And even, I'll tell you a guy that kind of showed me something in just 3 practices. I was impressed with what I saw from Cam Pro.
Yeah, I mean Cam really. I mean he had a great last practice. That practice 3. And he's an undersized guy, and I think some people question that, but he's finally starting to show the things that we saw when we recruited him. I think he's a natural football player with great quickness and instincts. And yeah, we got to get a glimpse of that in this early spring.
Then on the back end of the defense, the bowl game, with some of the guys that were asked to step up and did, that's kind of extended what is already kind of a pretty deep area at safety. And we saw some Thomas Harper in the first 3 practices of spring that he made some plays, and we'll see at corner. I think there's some guys that may be coming in that could help there, but overall it looks like with those guys you mentioned that have been hurt, this defense keeps kind of extending what it might be depth wise.
Yeah, I mean, there's not an area you can look at except maybe corner, like you said. I mean, that is yet to be determined. But with McAllister and Jason Taylor getting that bowl game experience against an SEC opponent, and holding up and doing well, I mean that gave us the opportunity to look at Jarek Bernard, at corner, which he didn't get much, but I mean, to me, the little glimpse that we had of him, I was really excited about. I think that may become his home.
Yeah, again, Cowboys defensive coordinator Jim Knowles with us, and I don't think there's any doubt. The longer you're with a program, the longer you're in a situation where you're going against teams in a conference, that you get more comfortable. I think our fans saw last year. You're getting more comfortable with not only coaching Oklahoma State, you and Coach Gundy, knowing what each other needs and what each other wants on the defensive side, and then going against the Big 12 teams. Um, and for us that we're lucky enough, Dave and I get to go to practice, we could see that status of being more comfortable. We saw that every day during last season. Talk a little bit about that process.
Well, I appreciate that, Robert, and I appreciate you and Dave because you do invest the time, and you do get to see and you get that view that the fans don't get to see. But yeah, it's a process, and you hate to say that because I always feel like it sounds like an excuse because what I want and what the fans want and what the players want is to be great, right now. But yeah, you got to, you hear of conferences and you do research on them. But you're right, until you live it, particularly the Big 12. I mean, we all know it's its own animal when it comes to offense, and it's not what I do. You know, did one thing at Duke and did another thing at other places. It's what works. It's what works for the players. It's what works for the program. So you come in with a certain knowledge base, and then you grow it and you adapt and you adjust, and you put your ego aside and you say, okay, what can we do to get better? I mean, that's the focus all the time, is every day, and you start to learn how people attack you, and how people steal your signals and all that goes on in the Big 12. And you adjust and you adjust and you adjust, and then you have what can the players do, and you learn about that every day, and it just gets better and better. And Coach Gundy has built a culture of winning and excellence, and we want the defense to do the same thing, to be able to reach that level of respect, and that every time we take the field, that the fans and everyone associated with the program expects us to stop them. I mean, that's the bottom line. That's what we got to do. So, how to get that done, right? There's a million ways to slice a cat, and as long as you stay open, which I am, to learning and adjusting and listening, and developing the right defense to fit the cowboy culture. That's what it's all about. Football's the greatest team sport there is, and that's why I'm in it, because I function better as being part of a team than an individual. So, my job is to put it all together, and I think we've made steps in that direction.
Coach Jim Knowles again with us, and Coach, I'm gonna hit three more things, and we're gonna kind of go extra cerebral here. Okay, that's a warning. We played Nick Saban's public service announcement to start the show today, and I think people realize Nick Saban's not kind of like you said amongst coaches. You're either going 100 miles an hour or you're just down to zero and you're recouping and getting ready to go 100 miles an hour again. And I think that describes, like you said, most coaches, including Coach Saban. And he came out and said, "Look, we got to do these things. We got to social distance. We got to wash our hands. We got to stay away from each other. We got to do these things, or we risk the chance of not having a college football season next year." And I mean, he was speaking to me because that's why I've kind of so easily slipped into this thing. I I can't predict the future, but I can't think about not having a college football season. I told my wife the other day. I said, if we get to that point, that's where you may have to, keep an eye on me because I may get a little ultra jittery there. But when you think about what we're going through, is that kind of describe your mindset? Hey, this isn't what I want to do. I want to be with my players. I want to be doing football stuff. I don't want to be doing it on the internet and don't want to meet by Zoom. But kind of understanding that if we don't do this, what we risk.
Absolutely. Shut it down. Do the right thing. Because we have to beat this. So we're game playing guys, right, Robert? So it's like, okay, how do we win? Well, here's the game plan. Here's what to do. Follow it. Whether you like it or not, be coachable, right? We want all our players to be coachable. Now we have to be coachable because I'm with you. I don't want to see this thing drag on one day longer. You talk about the season, and yeah, to even I have a hard time even going there. I've been
Yeah,
okay
me
with
too.
yeah, I've been okay with not panicking or the anxiety level, but you start to mention that, and I can feel the anxiety build up because that's not just our season, but that's everything else that will go along with that. So um, yeah, follow the game plan so we can get this thing beat, right? And that's what we got to do.
All right, here's another question. I was thinking this is a question just for you. The other day
Uh-oh.
I saw on Twitter Mike Yursich doing a diagram of one of his base plays, which I knew it because I was around him, but the Texas fans went gaga because they felt like, hey, he's giving us, and he's giving us insight into what's in his offense, and some of the media guys on Twitter asked him questions, and it went over pretty big. And as I was listening to that, I remembered when you came in and you and Coach Yursich were going against each other in the spring, and I kept telling Dave on the side, "This is great stuff," because these two guys, they don't pride's on the line. They don't want to lose to each other, and it spread to their players, and it got a little, it got a little dicey out there in spring, more than you may see in a normal spring practice. It was ultra competitive, but your thoughts on a guy you know pretty well in Mike Yursich. Now you get to kind of knock heads with him and game plan and X and O against each other, and it'll be the last game of the year on the Friday after Thanksgiving. I'm thinking that's going to be fun.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, really respect Coach Yursich and the way he runs his offense and his attitude. Hard nosed guy. And we're similar that way. Yeah, you're right. So that was fun. That first spring. So yeah, going against them, awesome, awesome, man. Those are the things you look forward to. That's why we're in this business, and we're lucky enough to get paid, for something that we love to do, and that kind of clean, hard nosed competition. That's something to look forward to, and I'm excited by it.
Yeah, I think that'll be pretty good. I mean, and if he even tries to call me that week, I'm not picking up. So,
Why
oh,
you should, you should, Robert. You know the
uh,
deal. Give 20, get 80. Come on, man.
well,
You
I,
got
I
you.
you know I could be pretty good at giving misinformation too, but now I tell you the all timer. I mean, I don't know if you know Doug Meacham that used to be here, but yeah, Meach was at when he was at TCU and at Kansas. He'd call me two or three times the week they played Oklahoma State, and I'm like, Doug. He goes, hey, is that guy healthy? Because he looked like he got hurt pretty good. I said, Doug, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing it. So yeah, it's kind of coaches will go. They'll go any avenue possible to pick up information.
Sure, absolutely, and you know a lot of them, but you also with your son and being around it so far, so long, you know how coaches are. So I'm sure none of that surprises you.
Hey, last thing, and this is something that came up with a lot of the other coaches this week because of a story I did and talked to Rob Glass on over the weekend. I think those guys, the strength staffs and the strength coaches right now, probably have as huge a role as anybody because they're reaching out and trying to find ways to keep these guys in shape. They got to, as Rob said, I got to figure out which ones have access to what weight rooms or whatever, because some can get in their high school weight room. But Rob said something I thought was really good, and he said, if I had to do this with a team, this is the team I would want to have to do this with. They have a chance. These guys are disciplined enough. They're motivated enough that I've got a group here that even trying to condition and keep them in shape and keep them strong by distance and over the internet, this group gives me a chance. Your thoughts on that? Because you know these guys as well as he does, at least your side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I think Coach Glass and his staff, they're amazing, and I'll even say that hey, they do know, they know these guys better than us. I mean, they we think we know them. I think they know them even deeper because they spend the most time with them. When you think about it, and all the reports that have come from him and Coach Gundy, in terms of their perception of this team as it compares over the years, in terms of their accountability and their leadership and their work ethic. I mean, they've been glowing. So, yeah, with our strength staff being the best in the country, and with this character gelling that's really happening with this team, I think we have a good chance, and hopefully this will give us even a leg up, because our guys are like that. But it reminds me of Robert the old days. And you're old enough. I mean,
Guys went
yeah,
home for the
you,
summer.
yeah, yeah. Do you remember when you'd send kids home with like a workout plan and like, okay, see you in August,
Well,
and it was
that's when we were playing. I mean,
yeah, yeah. Nobody stayed over the summer, and you really, and you didn't. I mean, we had we didn't even have a strength coach. I'm trying to remember, So we're so fortunate to have the best, but yeah, guys just got sent off, and some guys came back out of shape, and the ones who were really dedicated, you could tell when they came back,
yeah,
you could just tell. So I think we got the type of team where we're going to be able to make great strides in this time when a lot of people are going to have questions.
yeah. Hey, Coach, I appreciate the time, and again, I best to you. I don't know if you will get a chance. I know you're close to your daughter. Get a chance to see her, but best to you and your family, and hopefully soon we'll all be able to get back together and do that kind of football stuff we love doing.
Yeah, me too. And I was scheduled to run another half marathon with her in June, but it's in D.C. Now I haven't gotten the official cancellation. There's always hope, so I got to get out there still, and then run around Boomer Lake, every now and then, just in case, because there's no way I'll let her beat me, Robert. You know that. But
Well, and that's
I I appreciate everything you're doing to keep this thing going, and to keep people engaged, because it's a tough time for everyone. You wish that we could play football, and sports, just to keep people's mind off of what's happening, So I appreciate what you're doing. Keep it up.